Chapters the Six, War Without End. 10,000 words of frozen fears, heated battlefields, and a country that made conflict its calendar. The Cold War was never cold. It was constant combustion, masked in flags and marketed as freedom. They called it the Cold War, but nothing cold burns this long. The war that wasn't a war. It started with a silence louder than bombs, a handshake made of teeth, a stare down with mushroom clouds blinking behind every diplomat's smile. America versus the Soviet Union, freedom versus communism, God versus machine. But really, it was money versus anyone who questioned it. No open battles, they said, but Korea boiled, Vietnam bled, Cuba choked, Chile broke, and every time America showed up not with aid, but with advisors' aircraft agents, war was no longer declared. It was deployed. 2. The doctrine of control, Truman Doctrine, Eisenhower Doctrine, Reagan Doctrine. Same message, different suits. Anywhere communism appears, America will crush it, even if it's not communism, even if it's democracy wearing different clothes, even if it's just a village asking for clean water and land rights. If it smelled like revolution, it had to be exterminated. Enter the CIA, coup in Iran, puppet in Guatemala, death squads in Nicaragua, surveillance in every corner of the states, and every time the people rose, the boot dropped harder. 3. Vietnam, the jungle mirror. Vietnam wasn't just a war, it was a mirror held to America's face, and we didn't like what we saw. 58,000 Americans dead, over 2 million Vietnamese dead, napalm clouds, helicopter thunder, chemical agents that didn't stop killing when the war ended. They said we were there to stop communism. But we couldn't even stop our own doubts. The war came home in pieces. PTSD in silence, heroin in Harlem, protest in every street and song. The government lied, the media spun, and the people began to whisper, "Are we the bad guys?" The weaponization of everything. In Cold War America, everything became a weapon. Hollywood made movies about communist threats and atomic monsters. Education taught patriotism first, facts second. Religion draped the cross in red, white, and blue. Science was only sacred if it served security. Even sports were battlegrounds. Miracle on Ice? That wasn't a game. It was a sermon. Life was no longer lived. It was scripted. You were either a loyal American or a suspected sympathizer. No middle ground. No nuance. Just fire and freeze. V proxy grounds. Real graves. While DC debated and the Pentagon calculated, nations bled. Angola, El Salvador, Mozambique, Grenada, Lebanon, U.S. trained armies, U.S. made weapons, U.S. backed regimes, and always the same outcome. Civilians paid the price. Children buried under rubble, mothers disappeared into prisons, freedom turned into bullet points in a speech. We didn't just fight communism, we mass marketed it as evil so we could make war into business. 5. The industrialized infinite Eisenhower warned us. The military-industrial complex, that beast of brass and balance sheets. We didn't listen, we gave it a raise. By the 1980s, half the federal budget fed the Pentagon, defense contractors became deities. Every crisis became a contract opportunity. Lockheed, Raytheon, General Dynamics, corporate warlords in boardrooms, selling missiles like medicine. War wasn't a last resort, it was a subscription plan, renewed every election cycle. 7. The culture of the soldier. America began to worship the uniform. Not the person inside, not the trauma they carried, just the image. The soldier became symbol, not citizen, a tool for ads, a reason to silence protest. If you questioned war, you hated the troops. If you doubted foreign policy, you spat on the flag. And somewhere in that roar, the soldier, the actual human being, was forgotten. 8. Cold War at home. Domestically, it was war too. Black Panthers labeled terrorists. COINTELPRO sowed lies and sabotage. Civil rights leaders were murdered or watched until they broke. Poverty became a moral failing. Protest became proof of guilt. And the Bill of Rights, it was redacted in the name of safety. We had more prisons than schools, more cops than counselors, more security cameras and second chances. The Cold War wasn't foreign policy, it was domestic strategy. Keep the people scared, keep the power safe. Ix, Reagan's American Mirage. Then came Reagan. The actor, the cowboy, the script reader with nukes in his back pocket. He smiled as the poor starved. He joked about bombing Russia. He declared it morning in America while half the country stayed in the dark. He deregulated. He armed rebels. He sold weapons to Iran, funded death squads with the change, and waved the Constitution like a napkin at a state dinner. The Cold War wasn't cold. It was microwaved, televised, and monetized. X, no end in sight. Then the wall fell. Berlin, 1989. The West claimed victory. Capitalism stood over communism's corpse and declared itself immortal. But here's the truth. The Cold War didn't end. It adapted. The Soviet threat was replaced with terrorism, rogue states, cyber attacks, China, drugs, dissent. The enemy changed masks, but the machine stayed on. In America, it never stopped swinging because peace was never profitable. But fear? Fear sold every time.